Hello, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Are You a Fan? If you like this episode or any of our previous episodes, why don't you show us a like and maybe a follow? Get us to 1,000 followers, and, you know, these might come out faster. Probably not. Anyway.
I'd be happy to get 100. We gotta get there first.
Yeah, true. Okay. So, I am going to be honest. I do not have a question this week, but my instincts are telling me the Joker might have some. Which
You got kind of a different one than we usually do. So, you know, growing up in the early years of like Sega, the early Nintendos, what was your first game?
My first
when
game.
you started playing?
Ninja Turtles on the NS.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Ninja Turtles, I want to say it was Ninja Turtles 2, which I think was the better one.
Probably. The second ones tend to be, depending on the game.
Yeah, I just know it was the best game I've ever played. It's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, going back to those games, some of them are better than the ones we got now.
Right? What about you?
Mine was, it was either, because we had an SNES, it was either one of the basketball games that my sister had or it was Super Mario. I think it was Super Mario Bros. Was the one at the time. I don't remember.
If I remember correctly, besides the Ninja Turtles, Super Mario Bros. 3 was a big staple in our house.
Oh, yeah. I think that was a staple in everybody's house.
Right? Like, that was
anything that said Super Mario.
Right. Super Mario 3 was like the peak.
I don't know. I think Mario 64 could fight for that.
Oh, true. When we came up with the ability to move in 360 degrees.
That was like the first good game in that
Right.
generation.
Oh, so many rough attempts. Okay, so folks, that kind of brings us into this week. We are going to be covering Sonic the Hedgehog. Man, we're going old school up in here.
Don't call us old school.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's do real world. So by 1990, the Japanese video game company Sega wanted a foothold in the video game console market with its 16-bit console, the Sega Genesis. Oh, Sega.
Yeah, and to think that used to be one of the big ones in the console wars.
I remember, like...
And nowadays, half the generation probably don't even know what the Sega is.
Dude, it really kind of blows my mind because sometimes I think about that. It randomly hits me. I'm like, oh my God, Sega doesn't exist.
Not really.
Creepy.
So Sega president Nakayama would decide that Sega needed a flagship series and a mascot to compete with the Nintendo's Mario franchise. Because, you know, you have to find a way to be able to compete with that.
Fair.
Nintendo had recently released Super Mario Bros. 3. Hey, we were just talking about that. At the time, was the best-selling video game ever. Sega's strategy had been based on porting its successful arcade games to the Genesis. However, Nakayama recognized that Sega needed a star character in a game that could demonstrate the power of the Genesis hardware.
So I probably should have looked this up beforehand, but like, wasn't Mortal Kombat Sega?
Off the top of my head, I have no idea.
I mean, I feel like that was one of those ones that actually shared brands because I remember having it on my Nintendo. So yeah,
I know it was definitely on Nintendo. It might have been on Sega. We never had one.
Well, if it was on Nintendo, then that more answers my question because I was like, why didn't you guys use Mortal Kombat? Like that became its own thing, and then
because it was one that may not have been shared or may have been shared.
Yep. Never mind then. Okay. An internal contest was held to determine the flagship game, with a focus on the American audience. Among the teams working on the proposal were artists Naoto Oshima and programmer Yuji Naka. Once again, we apologize if we butcher names. Sorry.
I think that was about as close as we were going to get.
Yeah. I don't know. I find this funny that they were like really focusing on the American thing, and nowadays we're like, we gotta censor stuff so we can sell stuff in China.
Well, it's because at the time they were a Japanese-based company, and they realized how big the market was in America.
I just find the flip-flop funny. Times change.
Yeah. So the gameplay of Sonic the Hedgehog in 1991 originated with a tech demo created by Naka, who had developed an algorithm that allowed a sprite to move smoothly on a curve by determining its position with a dot matrix. It's a lot of big words.
I was going to say, there's a lot of sciencey terms.
It's a lot of tech words that I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, huh?
Naka's prototype was a platform game that involved a fast-moving character rolling in a ball through a long, winding tube. Sega management accepted the duo's project, and they were joined by designer Yashura. I know I butchered that one, but we're going to go with that. I'm not even going to try to butcher the first name.
Hirokazu?
I don't know. I'm not going to butcher it.
Okay, fair.
But you have fun with that.
Okay. After Yasuhara joined Naka and Oshima, their focus shifted to the protagonist, who Sega hopes could become its mascot. The protagonist was initially a rabbit able to grasp objects with prehensile ears, but the concept proved too complex for the hardware. Which honestly...
Crazy to think that it could have been a rabbit instead of a hedgehog.
Right? And also a little horrifying, like, I don't know, I'm just imagining a rabbit grabbing somebody with its ears.
Eh.
Eh.
I mean, it's not that bad, in all honesty. It's a little weird, yes.
Yeah.
Horrifying, eh. There are horror games for that one.
True.
So the team would move on to animals that could roll into a ball and eventually would settle on Sonic, a teal hedgehog created by Oshima. I mean, I guess that is teal. Kind of.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just now assuming that that's teal because I don't actually know what teal is. It's a blue, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in the blue family, but I always thought he was blue. Maybe it's just the American versions have always been more of a blue than a teal.
I could see that. Sonic's colors were chosen to match Sega's cobalt blue logo, and his red and white shoes were inspired by the cover of Michael Jackson's 1987 album Bad. That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Kind of cool because it also had his personality based on Bill Clinton's can-do attitude. Not sure if that's a person I would have based anything off of.
This was made before things.
Oh, clearly.
The adults and millennials know what we're talking about.
Anybody that knows the history of Bill Clinton will know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, God. The antagonist, Dr. Eggman, was another character Oshima had designed for the contest. The team thought the abandoned design was excellent and redesigned it as a villain. The team took the name Sonic Team for the game's release. I do find it funny that Eggman was originally one of the concepts for the hero.
I think it'd be interesting to see what he'd be like as a hero.
Right? It kind of also now, his round design makes even more sense considering they were trying to find something more
right
round that could move around.
So Sonic's first appearance would come in Sega AM3's racing game Radmobile in 1991, which was 5 months before the release of Sonic the Hedgehog as an ornament hanging from the driver's rearview mirror. I kind of like that he makes a cameo before his own game.
Right?
It's kind of the tease of, hey, something's coming.
I kind of feel like that's a bold move, too.
Oh, yeah.
Just so many kids just playing that racing game, just like, who's the blue? Why is there a blue? Was that a hedgehog or a porcupine? So, according to Mark Kearney, who worked in Tokyo as an intermediate between the Japanese and American Sega offices, the American staff felt that Sonic had no appeal. Although Katz was certain that Sonic would not be popular with American children, Kalinske arranged to place Sonic the Hedgehog as the pack-in game with the Genesis. Featuring speedy gameplay, Sonic the Hedgehog received the critical acclaim. It greatly increased the popularity of the Sega Genesis in North America, credited with helping Sega gain 65% of the market share against Nintendo. That's dang.
I think it was one of those that it was something new. People were getting tired of Mario and all the Nintendo stuff at the time.
I could easily.
It was a good competitor.
I could easily see that.
Oh, yeah.
I also remember when Sonic became a thing, there was always a divide of like, you went over somebody's house, either they had the Nintendo or the Sega. There was rarely... The rich kids had both.
It's just like, just the console war nowadays is you had one or the other. I mean, up until more recent generations, like you had one or the other. You're lucky if you had the one.
Yeah, true.
I know our house, it was always a couple systems behind.
Same.
For the Genesis sequels between 1991 and 1995, Nako was dissatisfied with his treatment at Sega and felt he had received little credit for his involvement in their success. He would quit, but was hired by Kearney to work at the U.S.-based Sega Technical Institute, or STI, with a higher salary and more creative freedom. Yashura also decided to move to STI. STI would begin work on Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in November of 1991, when it would be released in 1992.
Ah, okay. Also, it's amazing how many companies just straight up dismiss some of the creators of these things. Okay, let's go in-universe, folks. Which, I'm not going to lie, if you follow me on TikTok, you probably saw the video. This was a bit of a pain to put together. But I got it, I think. Maybe. Let's find out. Sonic games traditionally follow Sonic's efforts to stop Eggman, who schemes to obtain the Chaos Emeralds. 7 emeralds with mystical powers, which are, weirdly, very similar to 7 emeralds that have been in major cinemas recently.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So Eggman seeks the emeralds in his quest to conquer the world and traps animals and aggressive robots in prison capsules. Lovely. It'll be a PETA field day.
Right.
Because Sonic Team was inspired by the culture of the 1990s, Sonic features environmental themes.
Yeah. And there it is.
Yep.
Which, I mean, smart. Why not?
Yeah.
So Sonic represents nature, while Eggman represents machinery and the development. A play on the then growing debate between environmentalists and developers. Man, I love when companies are just like, hey, we can totally bank on this.
Right, and they did. A lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, the Sonic Bible, which is an internal document created by Sega of America in 1991 during the production of the original Sonic the Hedgehog game, was at the time of writing, Sega of America had little to no exposure to any original Japanese fiction relating to Sonic, and the Bible was supposed to be an attempt to establish the definitive Sonic backstory in non-Japanese regions, though it was never published. And listening to stories about this, it just sounds like a fan theory of something that might have been made.
It sounds like one of those like old back in the day internet myths.
Yeah.
Like, this exists, and everyone's like, you're crazy, Steve.
Listening to you telling me about it last night, I was like, I don't believe any of this is real.
I'm like, I found PDFs, but like reading them, I'm like, this sounds like wildly not real. Like, this sounds like the writings of a madman in the 50s.
It might have been.
Okay, so let's get into Sonic's actual backstory here. So, born on June 23rd on Christmas Island, Sonic abandoned his home at an early age to pursue danger and adventure. As to why he did that, I could not find an explanation. Just, he's a, like they say.
Yeah, we said we got into his backstory, but not really.
Yeah.
Because there ain't much of one.
Right? I mean, I assume he just left because of his Bill Clinton can-do attitude.
Later on, he would become a carefree adventurer and spend most of his life traveling around the world and far beyond, usually in his beloved Tornado with his best friend Tails as his sidekick.
And that's kind of all we got. There's, it really depends. Like, the most modern canon versions are he was teleported to this dimension from another, but as far as how or why, that alters based upon the movie, the cartoon, or the game.
Or the comic.
Or the comic.
Pretty much anything he's been in.
Yeah, like, this is the most close to, like, an origin story we got for the dude. So, yeah. Let's get into powers and abilities. I mean, Shadow has more of a fleshed out one. Okay, powers and abilities. Enhanced durability, enhanced acrobatic skills and reflexes, enhanced strength, enhanced jump, enhanced agility, enhanced stamina, and he's pretty decent at hand-to-hand combat. I did read the thing that talks about that. It's like he's never had formal training, but he's been in enough scuffles that he's just picked it up.
Which it makes sense, especially with somebody like him. It's like, you're going to be in enough fights that, yeah, I can see that.
And with his ability to like perceive things at a faster rate, I can see him picking up quick.
Yep.
And just a side note, there are other powers the further along you get, but they get real he turns into a werewolf in one of the games.
These are kind of just the base powers of Sonic.
Yeah. I didn't really want to count the emeralds because at that point we might as well just do an episode on the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah. And then the obvious one that you skipped is super speed.
Did I really?
Yeah, you went straight to the enhanced durability. Right by
Oh
the
my
obvious.
God. That's kind of what he's all about. How did
Exactly. I don't know how you managed that one.
I derailed that. Okay, let's get into take us away in other media.
So outside the games, he actually showed up in a lot more than I was expecting. So in animation, he's got Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog in 93, ABC's Sonic the Hedgehog from 93 to 94, which I think it was like 70-something episodes. Like, it wasn't really a short one either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Sonic Christmas Special in 96, Sonic Underground 1999, the anime Sonic X that aired from 2003 to 2006.
That one
That
I
might have
heard
been the
wasn't
one that had
bad.
70 episodes. I don't remember. One of them had 70-something episodes. But yeah, it was like, for the fact that that was the one that lasted 3 years, it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, true.
And there was a handful of other crossover random cartoons that he's been in.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I feel like characters like him or Mario probably have a few that they've popped up in.
Oh, yeah. And so in live action, though, so in 1994, there was a deal signed for a tie-in to the animated film Sonic Extreme, where Sonic and Eggman would break into the real world, but was rejected in 1995. Like, they'd gotten real far and everything from what I was reading. Like, they had stuff written, people planned, and something just like, nope, we're done.
Honestly, given the time period, though, that makes sense. Like, right around, like, Space Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Moose and Squirrel. Like, they were doing a lot of, like, hey, let's bring animation to the real world.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Who Framed
Like,
Rabbit?
there's a lot that, yeah, it makes sense that they're like, let's not try this right now. It
Yeah.
may not succeed.
Probably a good call.
And then there was also the Sonic the Hedgehog that would release in 2020 after being delayed from the original release in 2019. Thanks to the internet bullying the studio into fixing his design. The best thing that came out of that year. We bullied a studio.
Which I'm glad they did, because anybody who remembers that design, it's kind of haunting.
See, that was more haunting than the bunny rabbit.
Yeah, no, 100%. I will not deny that. The teeth.
And then you got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 that came out in 2022, which actually wasn't that bad.
Still need to see it.
And in February 2022, Sega and Paramount would announce that they were working on a Sonic cinematic universe with a third movie and a Knuckles TV series in the works. And I'm excited about that, to be honest.
Ooh. I do find that funny because there was a big push in the comics version and that for Knuckles to have his own thing. So,
oh, yeah.
Kind of nice to know that they might have a TV series about it.
And from what they said is Idris Elba is supposed to reprise his role for that too.
God, yeah.
So like at least they're keeping the voice for it.
Which is really cool.
Right.
I heard he did a great job. Like I saw the previews. Mwah,
it was
spot
amazing.
on.
So into video games, I am not listing them off. So d-rael, can you guess in the 31 years of Sonic how many games he's been in? Whether it's appearances or his games.
Well, knowing we discussed before this episode that he does appear in Smash Bros, it's more than I would have originally probably guessed. I'm going to guess 15?
Man, you were really lowballing that.
20?
Try again.
30?
Try again.
40?
92.
I'm sorry, what the?
In 31 years, he has appeared either in his own titled games or appearances in other games, like crossovers. He's appeared in 92 games, at least. I don't know if that's even accurate. That may not have been all of them. And that may include just cameos. So he may not even be a playable character, but he has been seen in 92 games.
90.
I'm pretty sure he's in more games on his own than our entire group of episodes from the last 2 years combined.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that blew my mind as I'm counting. I'm like, okay, why is this list going to stop going? Got to 80. I'm like, there's no way. I thought I was about to hit 100.
92?
Yeah.
That was a weird... No, I'm upset that it's not a 5 or a 0, but...
At least it's even.
True. But my God, that's a lot.
He has made his rounds. Like, it was almost a couple games a year minimum.
So in the future, when we do a Mario episode, I'm curious to see.
I'll be counting that too.
Okay.
Because I want to know which ones get the more appearances.
Because at this point, man, like 92, that immediately like puts him at the top of the list of any character we've done as far as games. And we've done some game characters.
Again, that's combined all of our characters.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody, even combined, has come close to that. Maybe our whole 2-year catalog might come close.
Maybe. And we've done 3 Mortal Kombat characters. And Doom.
Doom guy, Master Chief, Kratos. Like, we've done a handful of video game characters, and none of them are near this.
And even combined, I'm pretty sure not even close. Oh, man. Okay. That's cool. Awesome. Wow. I'm a little flabbergasted on that.
I was too.
31 years, 92 games. It's what, like roughly 3 games a year?
Give or take, if not more.
Holy cow. Well, yeah. So that's Sonic for you folks. And you know what? You a fan, Joker?
I mean, I definitely am. Not a huge one because I never grew up with Sonic because we didn't have a Sega. I knew of him. Never really played the games. Loved the movies. Those are fun.
I'm kind of the same boat. Didn't have a Sega, so I never really played any of the games. But I always did enjoy him as a character and that. Like, never really got into the show, but any clips I'd see, like, he's always been kind of that, like, Woody Woodpecker type, like, shenanigans character, which, if you follow us long enough, I love a shenanigans character.
I mean, it's just us in another form.
Exactly. So, you know what? I'm a fan, too.
For anyone that's still listening, if you got something out of this, enjoyed the episode, or even liked the character before from a movie, comic, cartoon, hell, even that t-shirt that you saw one time, you're a fan too. If you want to jump on this train, why not subscribe and share with a friend? d-rael out. Y'all keep riding them rails.